Not trying to be funny, not trying to get a laugh. Don't want anybody to have the worst day at their job.
You've got a job as a teacher. Why do you need more money?
And I make nothing. Zero. Zilch.
Guess what, Mr. Krabs? Me and Squidward are gonna go on strike!
Hi, Lindy.
Hi, Marissa.
Welcome, everybody, to the third season of the RIVERHAWK Hired podcast, featuring your career services directors, Lindy and Marissa.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
It's summertime here in the office for now as
Yep.
we're recording.
I got smooth brain because of it. So
Yeah, well, we just came back from Phoenix, which is why we are sitting here today doing this little recording, because we were at the NACE convention. Well, I guess conference, not convention. It's a little bit of both. It has a convention kind of aspect to it, but it's the NACE conference. NACE stands for the National Association of Colleges and Employers. So lots of people. They said that they had somebody from all 50 states there. So it's a pretty big group.
I think we were possibly the only representatives from Oklahoma.
Oklahomans, yeah, which is kind of crazy. There were some Canadian people too, because there was a guy that was Canadian at our hotel. We'll get into all of that.
Yeah.
So I guess we will just kind of break it down day by day.
Yeah, kind of like how we did for So Ace, but we're not going to break it up into all the mini episodes. We have no guests, but we just wanted to impart all of our cool stuff that we figured out along the way, and the weird stuff that happened.
Yeah. So on my little agenda, I have us day one is Sunday. Like at the airport, we are at Tulsa. We get dropped off and we go through security. Oh, one thing that I want to preface is career services, unfortunately, sometimes has bad luck on trips. Like the last couple of trips that we went on, we have had some troubles along the way. Not like with the staff, but just like
Transportation issues, lodging issues, things like that.
Yeah. And so going into this trip, we were
Worried because it was just me and Lindy. And the other two trips, we have had, other team members with us. We were a little nervous going outside of state boundaries.
on a flight, because our team has not, gone on a flight, at least, none of us had at that point. I think Candor has for stuff, but nobody else has. So it was like our first like official time to fly in the office. So anyway, we were at the airport and we get through security, and first thing that happens is my bag gets like taken to be searched. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on? Like, what is happening?
Pulled to the side. They really made her go to a different desk. We thought, this is it.
Yeah.
This is our bad luck.
Here we go. And so the only thing that was wrong was I had too many little liquids. We were saying little liquids the whole trip, but little liquids. So they were all the right amount of liquids. I just had too many of them. But the guy was like, I'll just let it slide. Put your shoes on, pack your bag back up.
Threw all your stuff back at you and you're hobbling over to the nearest chair.
So that happened. And then we were sitting at our gate waiting for our flight. And they like come over the intercom and they're like, hey, we need somebody to volunteer. We have too many people on this flight. So we need one person to basically stay behind. You'll still get to go where you're going, which was DFW. And but it'll just be at a later time. So if your final destination is DFW, come up there. And
it was not our final destination.
Yes. Yeah. No, it was just a connecting flight to DFW and then from DFW to Phoenix. And so that happens, and then they're like, okay, if anybody has a rolly bag, you need to check that.
And let me preface all this by saying I partake in caffeine every day like most people do, but I really do try to limit what I have. Now I'm not like I only have herbal teas. That's what I have. I'm like a 8.4 ounce Red Bull kind of girl, or like a sensible tall coffee. Like that's about it. and the airport only had gigantic tall boy monsters.
Yeah.
And I just got caught up in drinking it. And so I drank like the whole thing. And we're there pretty early. And so we're hearing all of the stuff about, you know, bring up a rolly bag if you have it so you can check it. And I'm like, Lindy, is that us? Like, should we? And she's like, no, we don't have a rolling bag.
Mine is literally like a fabric bag. Like, I can shove it under the seat. Like, we're going to be all right.
I had so much caffeine anxiety. I was like, I know we can't volunteer to go up there, but man, they keep announcing it, and I hope somebody goes up there soon because then someone's not going to get on the airplane.
And needless to say, somebody did volunteer, and they got their, I'm sure, really good flight credit or whatever. So good for those people. Thank you for volunteering, whoever you are in the universe.
Just so anxious. I kept looking at Lindy like, should we? I just want to be helpful.
Yeah.
She kept having to reassure, we do not have rolly bags. We are here on state travel.
And when they were making the announcement, they were like, if you have a roller carry-on bag, like they kept saying that, and if your final destination is DFW. So, you know, there was all of that went on. And so that happened. And then somebody had volunteered, so it was fine. And then they were basically saying, if you're in group 8 or 9 and you have a little rolly bag, you need to check it. So they call our groups. We were in group 8 and we start to board, and there is a lady who is trying to get onto the flight with her carry-on, and her carry-on was too big. Like, it was too bulky.
And it was a rolly.
It was a rolly too, but she was in group 7. And so I think, anyway, so this lady throws a fit. Like, she is mad because her bag is just a little bit too big for what they allow you to bring. And so that became a whole thing. So that was kind of crazy to like start with.
Yeah, I'm still riding that caffeine anxiety. She's like right behind us, like yelling at the very polite American Airlines worker.
Oh, they handled it really well.
But I also like shout out to that one lady in the fluorescent vest that they called in to be like, listen, no ifs, ands, or buts. If you have a rolly bag, get up here. She
straight up was like, okay, well, we're going to check your bag. Like, she was like, we don't have time to argue. Like, we are boarding this flight, lady. Yeah. So we get on the flight. It was good. It was a 50-minute flight, like super, super short. Yeah.
I didn't even get to fully dive into any podcast.
No,
or
nothing.
Anything.
Yeah. It was so short. They didn't give away snacks.
That was the worst part.
Yeah, that was really sad. So then we get to DFW, which is a huge airport, by the way. I had never been before, and it was huge. And they have this little train that you can take to all the different terminals, like just a quicker way to get there. So we get there and we're like, all right, we're going to find where our gate is, and then we're going to eat something. And then from there, we'll get on our flight and we'll go. And so we find our little gate. And we went to TGI Fridays.
TGIF on that Sunday.
Yeah, on a Sunday. And it was really good. I mean, you know, it was a burger and fries, like whatever, great. And then we find out that our gate has changed.
Yes.
And so we're like, oh, we have to take the little fast train
all the way back to where we originally came from.
Yeah.
Which was a long trip.
Yeah. So we train all around DFW and get off on our gate, and they were boarding like as we get there, but they were boarding like group like 4 or something. So we were fine. Yeah. So we get on that, and then we got snacks on that one.
Yes. A lovely salty mini pretzel.
Yeah,
and
those were good.
I had a water, no ice.
I had tomato juice.
Yes.
And I know that sounds crazy, but I have a whole theory that tomato juice, it just tastes better on a plane. They give you those little cans and you get to open it. It was very good, delicious, and smooth flight and straight into Phoenix.
Yep.
And it was hot.
I don't know if it was smooth because there was a bunch of grown adults on there. It was a 2-hour-long flight. Yeah. 2 hours. So like as long as a movie, right? And there was like a lot of full-grown adults that were making lines in the aisle
to go to the bathroom.
Like, bestie, hold it.
Yeah, it's
I'm all for bladder health. But do that before you get on.
And we were right by the bathroom. That's why we saw it.
Yeah. And that's why we were
It's not like we were like
it.
looking for the bathroom. Like it was like right there in front of us. So yeah, that happened. That was weird. But then we got our bags and we're like, all right, let's go to the hotel. Mm-hmm. And so we get an Uber with Frank. And we loved Frank. He was awesome. He was funny. He was very sweet.
Shout out to Frank. Don't know your last name. He's a Uvu Javer in Phoenix, Arizona. He was awesome.
Yeah.
And he was telling us all these different crazy stories about like a wreck that happened. And then he saw like 2 airplanes almost collide
hit each other. Yeah.
Like a couple hours before he came and caught us.
Yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, he took us to the hotel. And we checked in the hotel. We figured out, so the elevator was really interesting.
If I go to another freaking conference and the elevator system is confusing, I may just have to, my tummy hurts. I got to fly back home.
Well, yeah, because they were weird in Soa's and they were weird in this one. And you basically had to scan your card and then you could press your floor number and then it would take you.
Only sometimes it would take though. Because sometimes you would touch your card to it, hit your number, and then
it would disappear.
It would disappear.
Mm-hmm. Or like other people would get on the elevator, like you'd hit the button and then somebody would get on the elevator and then they would hit their button and then it would cancel out your button and then the elevator would stall. It was like a whole thing. It was very complicated. Like it got frustrating at times, but yeah. So we checked in and we also kind of explored around town a little bit that evening. We had some other very interesting Uber drivers. We won't get like super into them, but they were a little
stinky. Sorry.
Yes. But like a lot. Like the one guy that talked the whole time and he was like, his seat was literally leaned up against your knees.
Well, I wasn't caring about the up against my knees. I'm just a tall person. And so that's always a possibility. But the fact that he was like shoulders turned all the way to Lindy in the back passenger seat.
Having a conversation with me. I'm like, please watch the road.
Sir, please. Keep your hands on 10 and 2.
So yeah, so that happened. But then we came back and then we got some food at the hotel. It was really good. Our waitress was so nice. She was very sweet.
She was.
And then we just watched American Dad and went to bed and then got ready for day 2, which was Monday, which was the first day of the conference. So registration, we didn't check in until like what? It was like 11 something, I want to say.
Something like that.
Because we got there before noon because that's when the expo hall opened.
Yeah.
So we checked in and got our little badges and they give you a little swag bag, which was really cool.
Yep.
And, had some little goodies in it. And then the expo hall opened. So we were like, well, we have some time before the first timers session. So we're going to go in the expo hall and we talked to Wall Street Journal.
Yeah.
And they were really cool. And we went to this one booth. I don't remember the name, but it was like they had M&Ms in a container. And if you guessed the amount of M&Ms correctly, it's like you got a Yeti mug. Yeah. So that's why we did it. And I don't even remember what they were called.
But they were for tech.
Yeah, it was something with like tech.
Yeah. Ow.
They were a cool little thing, but yeah.
We have their business cards somewhere, I think. But they were nice.
Yeah, and then they had the wind down stations and the warm up stations or whatever. Yeah. So like they had like giant battleship and they had like
a giant coloring page for everybody. So we colored a little bit on that.
Yeah.
I did not take a picture of our coloring.
I didn't either.
I colored the @ sign.
I did the little heart. I did one of the little hearts. But yeah, we did that. And then we went over by the handshake booth and we were starstruck because we saw the lady from Handshake Access. We do not know her name. And someday we're going to have to find out.
I cannot find it. I mean, I guess we could go back to the training videos.
I think Access was recorded, so maybe we need to look at that. But anyway, so we were starstruck and we were like, oh my gosh, we're going to have to meet her, but maybe not right now.
Because we were so starstruck.
Yeah. And so we waited and we talked to some people at the handshake booth because we have a handshake representative for our office. Like they work with our office. They work for Handshake, but they work with our office to kind of help us with like any issues that we have. They're just our point of contact. And her name is Catherine, and we didn't get to see her that day. We had asked where she was, and that's part of the reason why we were stopping by the booth, but she had just left. We had just missed her.
Passing ships.
Yeah. And so after that, we went to the first timer session. And that was good.
Yeah, we made a friend named Nathan.
Yes,
was
I
cool.
literally put new friends on the little agenda.
It was good, and they had this really cool like quiz system, kind of like Jackbox, where you use your phone and then like it throws it up on screen so everybody can kind of see what people are answering. And so there were like newcomers or first timers, I should say, made up a third of the attendees at the conference, and the conference was over 2,000 people. And so they had to split it up into 2 sessions because it was such a big group. So we went to the second sesh, and that's where we got to meet those people, and it was really cool. The people who are on the board of NACE, the 3 hostesses that evening, so cool. Like they made it very much like, yes, I am in the right place at the right time.
They were great. And I think that was kind of a common theme with NACE. Everyone is so nice.
Oh yeah.
Like anybody that you ran into, they were willing to have at least some kind of conversation. So that was really cool. That was very different from what we had experienced, at previous conferences, in my opinion.
Oh, no. Yeah. And like the fact that they knew that we were first comers, they were like, okay, let me give you the lay of the land. And they would get like right into it, even though we kind of already knew all of it. But it was just sweet that they wanted to make sure that we were in the know. We had a good time. It felt very community. It was giving community.
Yes. They didn't feed us lunch.
Oh,
that day.
My gosh. Because a lot of people, I think, flew in that day. But, oh my gosh.
There was no food options. And Phoenix is hot. One of the things in my notes was to say it's a dry heat. That was what people kept saying. Like,
we were making fun of it.
Yeah. And it really is. It's a dry heat. We'll talk more on that later. But so we were like, all right, we need to find some food before we go to this main session. And we walked to this pizza place.
Because it said it was the closest place to eat to the convention center. But then, like, after we had been there for a couple more days, then we understood, that was not the closest place to eat near the convention center. Our phones just failed us that day. And technology was not our friend. So we're, like, walking past the Arizona Science Center, which we'll talk about as well later. We'll go and... wait, should we blur that out?
What?
Science Center? I don't want to call them out. Anyways, sorry. But what if they hear?
Who cares?
Okay. So we're going to that pizza place, and there is an active sewer being pumped.
Oh my gosh.
Out front of the pizza place. And
it smelled nasty.
Stinky.
It smelled like a booty.
It smelled like a booty, and it was unappetizing, and we're standing outside. You have to wait.
People were eating outside and smelling that at the same time.
Yeah. And we were like, their little wait here to be seated was outdoors. So we're hanging out, waiting, like dying from the heat.
A long time,
because for some reason we decided to wear like our fanciest dresses and heels that day. And we did not last as long as we thought we would in that. And this cat came up with half a ear. And I thought he was our waiter, and he was not. And
he would have been the best
waiter. The pigeons were so pigeon-like.
They were. Yeah, they were
everywhere.
They were.
And they were not scared of that cat.
And they would get right up to you, too. Yeah.
Like, their feet were so orange, it looked like they were a cartoon. It was weird. Anyways, so they come back out, like, the waiter, after we're waiting for a hot minute, and they're like, it will be about an hour wait. Like,
we're like, oh, okay, well, never mind. So we go to the coffee shop. And it was the only place that was open in the conference center. And so we got like quote unquote smoothies. I don't know if they were really fruit smoothies, but whatever. And it was just like, whatever. We will regroup later. So we went to the main session, and the main speaker there was Soledad O'Brien. And if you don't know who that is, she is a news anchor for, I believe, CNN or CBS.
I think different parts of her life
journey have been either one, because she's worked with Anderson Cooper and Wolf Blitzer. Most people probably know at least who Anderson Cooper is.
Well, yeah.
And so she kind of talked to us about her life. She does documentaries, so she talked about those. That was really cool. We met some people from Hawaii, which was really cool. They were sitting right next to us. They were really sweet, and they were all from different islands of Hawaii, which I thought was really cool. But they were all like together, and
they were
together.
Native Islanders.
Yes,
like, they weren't transplants. Like it was really fun for them to get to come to the conference, and they were like, we just been shopping.
I'm like, yes, girl, period. They were so nice. So that was really cool to meet them. And then the president's reception followed after that. So you get a drink ticket for the president's reception. So we got our free little drinks, got some wine. And then the food was not great there. It just was not.
So's had that up on NACE.
Yeah, it was in New Orleans, so like
The
Chef's
South,
Kiss.
it was just
it was
much
incredible.
better. Even their massively made lunches and stuff like that were 1,000 times better.
So much better. Yeah. So the food was not great. But we spun the prize wheel, the NACE prize wheel.
Yeah.
And then what did you win?
A carabiner.
Yes.
It has 3 key rings on it. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh.
I don't know what I'm going to do
Well,
with
that's
this,
why I
but,
need to
yeah.
embroider you a little keychain. Anyway, that's beside the point.
Sorry.
Anyway, and then I was like so close to winning that Yeti cup.
Yes.
But I won a sticker, which was still a good prize.
It was a good prize, but she was literally one little tick away from getting that Yeti. And I was...
Yeah.
It was something. Oh, and that was we kept getting mistaken for Northeastern
University, which is a university in Boston. And every time we said we were from Northeastern, they're like, oh, Boston. I'm like, can you not tell by the accent? We're from Oklahoma.
We would also say our full name. We would say Northeastern State University. And they would go, like in Boston? And we'd have to be like, no, we're actually from Northeast Oklahoma. Yeah. And we kind of crushed people's dreams, I think, because they were really excited.
But it's fine. And so then we were going to head back to the hotel, and that's when we Waymo'd.
Oh my gosh, I miss Waymo. So we saw this billboard for Waymo, which is a self-driving car.
Yeah.
And we saw it at the airport, and I was like, oh, we should take that to the hotel. And it would only let us do it between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. from the airport. And I was like, that's weird.
Yeah.
And then our lovely Uber driver, Frank, let us know that there's a reason for that. And it's because self-driving cars may not be really good during rush times.
Right. They don't have consciousness, so they're not aware of their surroundings as much as like a person would be.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so we just decided let's Waymo from the conference center to the hotel. It's not a long drive. And so
we'll be safe. And we do not have self-driving vehicles in our area.
No. So we're like once in a lifetime. Yeah. So we get in the car. We drive. It was a little scary. 4-way stops were more like pauses versus stops. Yeah. But it was fine. And
it used its blinker though.
It did.
So
which is more than we can say for like most Oklahomans. So, sorry, Oklahoma drivers, but
I'm not.
I
am not sorry about that. Use your blinker.
Yeah. And then, so then that happened. And then we went back to the hotel and we got pizza because we were hungry.
Ooh, yeah. We got that from the hotel restaurant, and then
that was it for the rest of the day, I think.
Yeah, that was it that day. And then what was next?
Tuesday. So Tuesday was second day of conference, day 3 of us in Phoenix.
That was the day we really dove in.
It was a full day. It wasn't like half day like Monday was. So we went to breakfast, and on the elevator ride, we met people from Canada, from Virginia. The lady from Virginia was super nice. She's the one that was like, everybody's friendly, and the breakfast was really good at the hotel. It was a good little breakfast. Yep. And then the first session was practice what you preach, how to supercharge both you and your students' careers. And a lot of it was over just how to utilize NACE, like how to get the most out of your NACE membership, just different ways to find things and find data for like your school, which was great. And I put a couple of quotes in here because they were just some good little like nuggets of wisdom, like quotes. The first one was, my job is jobs. I love that. I just think that's
our job.
Yeah. Like our job is jobs. And I was like, you're right. Like, which is stupid.
Pop off, queen.
I'm like, good point. Like, so I'm like, I want to put that on something. Like, my job is jobs. And then she also said observation is participation, which I thought was really cool.
I wrote that down too. I remember because that's something I'm always trying to learn, especially being under you, Lindy, because I need to find the value in that. And I see the value in it a lot more in this position. And I think the whole thing is like participation is good. Like it's good to participate in conversation and networking, but just because you aren't the loudest person in the room doesn't make you the dumbest, right? And just because you're the loudest person in the room doesn't make you the smartest person in the room. Right.
And so I think that just something that I have learned just from, my years, is sometimes it's better to just sit back and observe before talking. And so I love that she made that point because I think that that's something that everybody can keep in their back pocket sometimes. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't ask questions. Yeah. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't participate. It just means that like think about things before you just kind of go into it or feel obligated to do things that maybe you shouldn't be doing or shouldn't feel obligated to do.
And also I liked it because it made me, I don't know, like sometimes I feel like if I'm not talking, I am not participating. And so it was just a good reminder that like that's not what participation is
all
like,
the time.
Yeah. You want to also understand. So
sure.
I liked that. She was awesome.
She was great.
She also leaked a little nugget of future things that could come down the pipeline for students. So they are looking into launching, I think within the year, NACE student memberships.
Yeah,
they'll put out stuff about what that looks like, and we'll share it with you guys as NSU students on what benefits you could receive from that and all that kind of good stuff, because I mean NACE provides a lot of really good data for us, but it also does all of the research to kind of see what industries and jobs are up and coming, and we say all the time that it's an opportunity to hear it right from the horse's mouth, get to hear from employers exactly what they're needing, wanting, all of the above. And I just thought it was really cool they were coming out with a student plan, because I was like, oh, what does that entail? But it's to be determined. Yes, but that was exciting.
So the next one that we went to was Indigenous Career Futures.
Yes.
So it was all about serving Indigenous students, and we were like, well, we definitely need to go to this one. A third of our students at NSU are Indigenous, and so we're like, okay, how do we better serve these students? We love CTS, Center for Tribal Studies. And so if we can find even more like effective ways of partnering with them and helping that student population, then absolutely, let's go. So they talked about strengths-based approach, listening, like hearing what your students want, and that there are the people that were giving the presentation found like certain barriers, like that certain employers weren't able to get through Handshake because of filters or barriers or whatever it was.
Specifically Indigenous employers.
Right. And so they worked on that. They provided like different resources. I took a lot of notes in that one. It was like 3 pages worth of notes. And the one thing that I really liked that they talked about with their career fairs was a come as you are approach. Yes. So you don't have to dress super professional professionally. Employers don't care. They just want to see students. And I don't think we've really ever explored that realm as much. Not that you shouldn't dress nice for a career fair. It's nice to look professional always.
And we never turn away anybody.
No,
no
not
matter
at all.
what they're
Not at
wearing. Shout out to Mama Bear Slipper Man from the spring semester. I don't know who you are, but he went into our career fair and it went great.
Yeah.
Like it's I think that's just a good approach for all students, not just our, Indigenous students,
right.
but it's really important to feel comfortable whenever you are, I don't know, making big life decisions. And, that's a career fair is part of that. So.
Yes. Then we went to Career Champions. It was just about doing programs to get faculty and other student organizations involved with your office. UConn were the people that hosted it. UConn is a huge school in Connecticut. If you don't know, they're big in basketball. And they had a lot of good ideas. I'm not going to get too in depth on that one just because, whatever.
There are secrets.
Yeah, secrets, things coming, pending. And then the main session was a panel. It was boring. Sorry. It was boring.
Okay, but the guy who hosted
it was great.
He was
awesome.
But
compared to Soledad O'Brien, who was she was just intriguing to listen to a panel of people who I just kind of felt were kind of talking over each other and stealing each other's question answers the entire time. Yes. It was all right. It was fine. Definitely not my favorite session. So after that, we went to lunch.
Can I go back to the panel really quick?
Yes.
Okay, so they were asking, instead of give us a little intro to each person, the host was asking each of the panelists some off the wall question.
Yes.
And there was this guy on the end of the row. I do not remember his name or what university he was with, but he was on the panel and the host asked him are you a Swiftie?
Yeah.
And he said yes, with his full chest.
Yes.
And they were like, oh my gosh, what, why, and I don't know how they got on the topic. Well, it's Taylor Swift, and so they were talking about Taylor Swift love and
with Travis,
the Taylor Swift hate as well. That's also implied with that. And that guy was like, I'm down for love. And I was like, yes, speaker to room. I don't know why. That just stood out to me. That was my favorite part of the panel, is he was unapologetically a Swiftie and was not participating in the oh, geez. I'm not a Swiftie. I could not name 200 of her songs or, tell you all her albums or whatever. But I will tell you that when I was in 6th grade, Love Story was my favorite song.
Period.
So that's my Taylor Swift experience.
There you go.
I hate to see how many people are so mean for no freaking reason.
Well, it's you like who you like, but let's not hate.
And so I was very happy with that guy's response. He was like, I'm not into all the hate. I'm just here for love. And I was like, oh. Anyways, go on.
But it was an okay panel. They were fine. They all spoke very well, but it just was not my cup of tea.
Same.
But lunch, we got picture with the handshake access lady.
Yes.
We actually got to meet her.
We were waiting in line for a free screen printed latte.
Yeah.
It was really cool, but then we saw her and we saw our chance because when we were starstruck the first day, we really were. We were like, we recognize her. Oh my gosh, it's weird to see her in person because she's in all the training videos for Handshake. She runs Handshake Access, which is the virtual little conference Handshake does every year.
Yeah, she's kind of the face.
Yes, she is the face. And so we got to meet her and I think we embarrassed her.
Yeah, because we were like, can we take a picture with you? Our office loves you. And she was like, sure. And so she has really cool glasses. So we talked to her about her glasses. And then we had lunch and it was barbecue, I think. Yeah, it was barbecue. It was good. Whatever. It was fine.
I don't remember if it... Yeah.
Yeah, it was fine.
Because we had Brussels sprouts, broccoli.
Yeah, we had all the veggies.
All of the things that make things stinky.
Yes. And then We went to the session for international students. And again, we work with the international office here on campus quite a bit. Shout out to Ricardo. Thank you for including us in all your stuff. And so we wanted to make sure that we could, again, serve another part of our student population well, because there are a lot of questions about like visas and staying in the United States after you graduate. Yeah, sponsorships, all kinds of things. So we were like, okay, we want to make sure that we're able to answer these questions for these students. And so the information that was provided by the people that were giving the presentation was great. They were wonderful. One of the guys that was giving the presentation, he was an international student and then stayed in the United States, was sponsored by Visa, all of those things. And so they did like a frequently asked questions thing. Not to get too into the weeds, but it ended up, unfortunately, the audience of that session ended up kind of tainting the session, and it made me feel really bad for the presenters because it was just a lot of people trying to tell them like
actually
and it's like everybody's experience is going to be different, and they kept saying that. There were also people,
the presenters kept saying that. And they fully acknowledged that in the beginning. They were just there to share their insights, and like, I don't know, it's just decorum, people. Save your nuggets of knowledge until they've said what they had to say, or reach out. Don't take over their presentation. So that frustrated me.
They ended up having to cut everything short. Because
they only got through half their slides because of how many other people were like, well, actually, I think that's kind of dumb because in my experience, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it was dumb. And there were people sitting in the back who were yelling because they couldn't hear.
They were sitting on the ground up against the wall when there were empty seats.
Yeah, there were plenty of empty seats. It was a mess.
Decorum was not there.
Yeah, and I felt really bad for the presenters because I think that they got like halfway through and they were like, all right, we're losing this crowd. And it wasn't even their fault. So that was kind of how that session ended. But
we do have access to that. I think they recorded that one. So we'll have that for
and
actually serving our students. It was just in the moment we were like, come on, people.
Well, it got to a point where I was just making sure that I was writing down what was on the slides because I was like, okay, this is good information. But regardless, we got through it. And then that night we went to a MLB game, Major League Baseball game. It was Diamondbacks versus Giants. So Arizona Diamondbacks versus the San Francisco Giants. And I think it was like their third night playing each other. And it was really cool.
Diamondbacks
yes, we're huge Diamondbacks fans now. So go Diamondbacks.
Yep.
They're a snake.
Or Baxter the Bobcat.
Yeah, so they are called the Diamondbacks, which is a type of snake, but they also have a mascot named Baxter, who is a bobcat. So not sure how all that ties into it. Probably need to learn the lore on that one.
I was going to say, if someone can explain the multiple mascots, please let us know.
Yes.
Via social media.
It was good. We got stuff at the gift shop. They pulled up a selfie cam and we did not get on the selfie cam, but Marissa did still take an iconic picture.
I did.
So that was fun.
And we got a hot dog.
We did get a hot dog. We got ice cream.
A hot dog. Oh, yes, with the little
helmet.
Oh,
yeah.
Hat.
And we stayed for the 7th inning stretch, which was cool because we got to see the piano player and, sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game like you do.
Period.
And they won. So that was cool.
Yes.
And
we were sitting with like the conference had purchased a block of seats. So it was like all of our NACE people sitting around us. And like, it was just so funny because like it was a time for networking. It was a time for just hanging out with colleagues. It was a time for talking business. It was just really interesting getting to hear all the different conversations that were going on around us. Cause there was someone like to the right behind Lindy that was talking about like, well, our, international program this and our VP that. And then the other ladies that were on my side, they were like, have him buy your drinks, ladies. Am I right?
Yeah. It was all over the place. Like it was crazy. There was drama like at one point.
Oh, yeah.
Don't know a lot about that, but it was kind of some drama. I don't really know. We didn't get involved. But then we left like bottom of the 8th inning, I want to say, just because we knew it was dark. Busy. It was getting dark and it was going to be busy if we left right at the end. So they had some little bike rides.
Is that really her name? Sorry, we're
Did
getting
you
an
find it?
important message from our
Jeremy-
podcast producer.
Jeremy found her name. Jeremy found the handshake lady's name. Her name is Tiffany Taylor.
Shout out Tiffany. Also, good on you. We searched for a hot minute.
How did you find it?
So I thought that it was Tiffany, so I just Googled Tiffany from Handshake, and it pulled up a bunch of stuff.
And it was her with the...
people tweeting about her being at NACE. So I was like, that's definitely it.
Oh my god.
So we weren't the only ones that were starstruck.
Period.
Thank you, Jeremy.
That makes me feel a lot more comfortable about it too, because when she was taking a picture with us, she was like, they're never going to let me live this down at the office. They're never going to let me live this down.
So I bet it's because she had lots of people asking to take pictures with her because she's
iconic.
famous. Yes. She's incredible. So anyway, so back to the game. So we were leaving and we were trying to figure out transportation home because we didn't want to walk.
We wanted to Waymo. That was our thing, because Waymo was like low-key our bestie.
Yeah.
Waymo was so nice to us, especially
Without
compared to
saying a
those
word.
two Uber drivers.
Yeah.
And so we try to go meet Waymo, but Waymo wants us to meet him in like a
Back alley.
Yeah, back alley 2 blocks away. It's dark. We're in an unknown city, and we're like, that is not a good idea.
Yeah.
So we walk out of the front of the chase field, and there's just a bunch of petty cabs lined up, ready to go.
Yep.
And we picked one, and I was a little hesitant at first because it looked a little sketch, but it was lit up green. So I was like, that's...
NSU, we got to do it.
We gotta go
and the
that
guy
way.
was so nice. He was doing his little disco dancing. So he's like on his little bike, wearing that little carriage, just riding around, downtown.
Staying
Phoenix.
alive, and he starts doing like the little disco points.
Yeah.
And he pulls up to our hotel, and he starts doing donuts and starts blaring the music.
It was incredible.
And we're like,
right at the front, like right where the doors were.
Yeah, everyone in the lobby's watching us do donuts.
That's how you make an entrance.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
he was,
it was.
very nice, and also it was a very pleasant way to get to see the city, because it was a good time.
Yeah. So that was that, and then day 4, Wednesday, was the last day of the conference. So we did our little breakfast. We met some more people at breakfast.
Networking.
They were very, very
jobs.
sweet. And then the first session we went to was Tell Me About Yourself, Career Center, Identity, and Engagement. It was all about branding. So it was pretty good. We learned a lot about, things that we can implement in our office. So hopefully, you'll see some of that coming down the line. The next thing that we went to was the main stage session with Michelle Poehler, and she was phenomenal. Yes, she was so great.
She's probably my favorite.
Yeah, she was my favorite. They introduced her, and they always introduce people like on stage by playing a song for them, like playing them in basically. And they played this song, and she is just full out dancing to this song, to the point where other people in the audience are dancing, like getting up and dancing with her. And her whole thing was, she did this movement called 100 Days of Fear. So she was in a class. She was at college, and she was in a class, and one of her professors inspired her class to do 100 days of something. Like, if you could do 100 days of something that will change your life in some way, doesn't matter what that looks like, what would you do for those 100 days? And the professor challenged everyone in the class to do 100 days of whatever. So like, one girl did 100 days of no makeup because she wore really heavy makeup.
Transformed her whole face.
Yes.
In that 100 days.
Yes.
And then one of the other ideas, or one of the other students in that class with her, did 100 days of inventions. So he would make a new invention and sketch it out every single day. And she showed a couple of those sketches, and that was really cool.
And then she did 100 days of conquering a fear. So every day she conquered a fear for 100 days. And so she showed us different little clips, like she ate an oyster or she went skydiving. And then she showed us like a few like actual examples. So her favorite one was she danced like no one is watching in Times Square. And she showed video from that because she documented all of this on YouTube. And she was talking about how she got lots of different people to dance with her. And it was really cool watching the video on that. And it started to pick up a little bit of publicity.
BuzzFeed covered it. All of the news outlets covered it.
Yeah, Today. Yeah, all of the big ones. She was getting a lot of attention for it. And so her very last 100th day fear was doing a TED Talk over her 100 days because she has a huge fear of public speaking, which is funny because she was up there speaking.
Yeah, she was really good.
She was really good. So she talked about that. Another one that I wanted to add in was when she was helping sell her husband's Camaro because she's really good at marketing.
Oh my
It made me cry. So her husband was trying to sell his Camaro because they were moving to New York, so they didn't need a car anymore.
Yeah.
And her husband had posted it on eBay and nobody was buying. And so she was like, let's try a different marketing tactic. And they did a video over hi, Camaro, here's why we're going to miss you. We're going to miss,
riding with the top down.
Yeah. Picking up our friends, all this stuff. And literally the day after they posted it, her husband posted it, a guy reached out and was like, hey, your wife's video made my wife and I reminisce about our old Camaro that we had when we first got married, and we had to sell it. I'm gonna start crying.
Don't cry, Lindsay.
We had to sell it because kids and jobs and family, it all gets in the way, and so we had to buy a minivan and all those things. And so they were retired, and so they bought the Camaro, and she had a picture, and it was so sweet, and I just thought that was really cool.
It was to touch on even if you fear that it's not gonna work, just try it. Because it could, just like her husband's approach of saying 89,000 miles,
right,
purple color, whatever, it just wasn't working. And he was scared to try that approach of making that video of, here are all the reasons we love it. And, they tried it and it immediately worked. And so she was like, this is just to show you, go outside your comfort zone. Get that fear, even if it's just a little tiny one, oh, no one's gonna buy my car and they're gonna think my video is stupid. Whatever. She shot her shot, proved her husband wrong, and sold the car.
Yes, and she literally she had the phrase, instead of saying what's the worst that can happen, think what's the best that can happen.
Yep. That was our saying for the rest of the trip.
It was. It's still my saying.
Period.
What's the best that can happen? Getting you out of that negative mindset. And she was like, and also if you want to do that 100 days, whatever you do it for you. Don't do it to just post on social media. Don't do it for those purposes, because if you're just doing it so you can show everybody else, then you're not doing it for you. You're doing it for everyone else. So do it for you. Which I thought was really cool. And then at the very, very end, she had everybody get up and dance like no one was watching. So we all had to get up and dance.
Limitedly.
We were all in very limited space. And I was sitting, Nathan had sat, our friend Nathan that we met first day, sat next to me. And he's super tall, by the way. He's 2-3 feet taller than me. It felt like. Yeah. And so we were very cramped, trying to dance.
Doing a sensible twist, a little touch step.
Yes. Yeah. But it was fun. It was good. And then we went to lunch at Huss Brewing Company. It was very good. Goodness. Very, very good. Got some fish and chips. And then we went to the Science Museum from Hell. That's what it was.
Here's what the Science Museum sounded like.
Literally.
It was covered in kids.
So we get there and we don't even know where to get the tickets. And then we buy the tickets and we
don't even know where to start.
Yeah. Well, first the guy was like, I had a really stupid moment.
No.
I'm about to show my age also. But the guy was telling me what the total was of the ticket. Okay, he asked for my name. So
yes.
So I gave him my
full
name.
He did not ask me for my name.
So I gave him my name and then he's like, okay, $19.95. And I was like, no. 1993, because that's the year I was born, and I thought he was asking about the year I was born. So he said, no, 1993. And he points to the card reader and went, no, 1995. And I'm like, oh, ha. And like put my little card in because I'm an idiot. And then we were trying to figure out where to go to start. So we had to ask where that was. And we get to the elevator and we go up to the 4th floor because they said to go start at the top and work your way down. Mm-hmm. We won't get into all of it. But there were just a lot of children, and they were very stinky children because this is Arizona.
Arizona because it's hot.
Because it's hot. Yeah, not because children are stinky in Arizona. Sorry. Sorry. All children are stinky in my opinion. But when you're in like 100-degree heat, everybody be stinky. Yep. I was stinky. Same. But like anyway, so we are there, and we work our way down.
We are trying to avoid kids left and right.
I mean, they were everywhere. Which of course it is. They're going to be, but there was like a camp. Like it was specifically a camp of kids that was there. And no one was really supervising these children. Yeah. So it was awful. And it was just a lot of like button pressing. Like at one point we were like
button stomping. They would get on top of the tables
and stomp. Like to the point, I don't even, it was awful. It wasn't awful. It was just an experience.
Yeah, like we went there to learn science, and it was just hard to learn science.
And we learned
that you're not supposed to hit an orca with a stick too hard.
Yeah, which,
that's what we learned.
So that was that. Because we had a lot of time after lunch.
Yeah.
We had a lot of time before our last session. So our last session was meaningful employer engagement. Mm-hmm. So we got to learn about some processes that we can start implementing, and just like the use of like labels on handshakes, stuff on the back end that we do
it's not
here in the office.
Y'all.
Yeah. So that was the last session. It was a good one. And then they had the sunset social at the Deuce.
The Deuce.
Yeah.
It was like DUCE, so we thought it was Duce.
But it was not. It was the Deuce. They made that very clear in the main session.
We roll up. It's a really cool, trendy looking area, little spot. Kind of like, it's primarily for events.
Yeah.
And there's a little stage. There's a stage inside of a boxing ring.
That's where the DJ was.
Yeah.
And they had a saxophone player playing with the DJ, he was incredible.
Yeah. That was really cool. They had some really good food.
Yeah. The food was good. We got margaritas.
Yeah.
Those were good.
They had, lots of food stations. Mm-hmm. Like you could go to one corner for some appetizers and then over. Did they have dessert?
Well, we ate at the dessert table, but they didn't have the desserts out at that point.
Yeah, because they were very much lacking on tables for people to sit at.
And so trash cans.
Took over. Yeah, they didn't have any trash cans. They literally just had like people walking around with bussing bins and like
we just
had
to,
holding them out.
Throw our plates in there.
And
it was
makes
weird.
You feel bad because it's like because there was this one lady and she came up to me and she was like holding it out, kind of like offering it up, and it's full, and I was like, "Are you sure?" And she nodded her head yes, and I sat my stuff on top, and it was just I felt bad, and so we didn't get dessert because I think most people were just kind of, and it was funny because we had made a friend in the elevator that was from Texas. I think that morning, maybe, and we got back on the shuttle to go back to the hotel like an hour deep.
Yeah, which it was only 2 hours anyway.
Yeah, but it was just funny because our friend from Texas was like, "Whoa, antisocial club!"
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, ooh, like yeah," because I recognized him.
We're going back to the hotel and getting some good sleep.
Yes, yeah. So we did that. We came back and got ready for our last day in Phoenix, which was a very like kind of short last day. But we woke up, we had breakfast, and then we loaded up with our Uber driver, Thomas, who was also very nice.
Yes.
Very, very sweet guy. He told us about his daughter. He was from Chicago. I'm from Chicago.
I literally was just thinking, girl, I'm from Chicago.
Yeah. And then we check in at the airport, and Marissa paid for her bag, her checked bag, and I didn't. And
Well,
that
it didn't prompt you.
Yes.
It's not like you were like, "What?"
yeah. And so I was like, what? And so it still printed a luggage tag for me. And so I put
and
my
told
little
her to go and like give
Yep.
it to the people. So
I did. And I'm like, well, I really hope that, whatever, that I get my luggage when we get back. So then we go up to the little map to figure out where to go, because the Phoenix airport is also a little bit confusing. It's not as big as DFW, but it's just confusing. And so we're like, oh, they're like, scan this for instructions. We're like,
you
this
scan
is
your
great.
boarding pass and it
Yeah.
gives you directions on how to get to your gate. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. And we were sitting there like, yes, technology work. And then I scanned a little QR code for it to give me my directions to the gate on my phone. And I thought it was going to be a little guided like GPS kind of thing, because that's what the screen on the kiosk was showing. And when I scan it, it pulls up a Safari page that's blank except for teeny tiny directions up in the top left that are like
The
in Times
smallest
New
print.
Roman. And it says, walk forward 102 feet, turn slightly left 65 feet. And we were like, what?
Which way is forward?
And we had just gotten done hyping up technology. I was
Yeah.
like, whatever. We found our way there. Got
Yep.
through security. And
And got some last minute gifts. Got us some little cactuses.
Okay. We got little cactuses. They're very cute. They're this, how do you pronounce it? Saguaro cactuses.
Yes.
Because they're like the ones that are protected under
Yes.
law. So we each have an itty bitty one of those. It's very cute. And we also got cactus candy. Have you tried your cactus candy yet?
Yeah.
It's bad, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
It ain't great.
Okay, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
because they had it everywhere. Like, cactus
Candy.
Try
I'm
this
like,
cactus candy.
Adam, my husband,
He likes it?
loves it. He's like, oh, this is good. I'm like, well, you can have all of it. That's why.
Do you want me
like,
to bring him the box of the prickly pear?
if you
'Cause
want.
it was just...
That's what we tried, was the prickly pear, and I didn't
Well,
like
I got
it.
that whole box of the prickly pear,
Oh,
and I
see,
don't
I
know
got
if
the
it's the
assorted.
same. Yeah, well, we tried the assorted and the prickly pear flavor first, and it was just, and we did not try any other flavors.
I haven't
in that
tried any
box.
of the other flavors. I just tried prickly pear. Adam was eating the other ones.
I love prickly pear flavored things. You know what? That's a lie. Jacob and I did try one of the pomegranate ones.
Were they
later.
good?
No,
Oh.
none of it was good. The friggin' because he
It
even
just doesn't-
said
yeah.
he said it looks like Turkish delight, and so I'm hesitant.
Does a little
and I
bit.
was like, don't speak ill on this, because I'm sorry for any Turkish delight lovers out there, but that is gross. I do not like Turkish delight, and that's what this reminded me of. It was just Turkish delight, but instead of powdered sugar, it was just sugar.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Yeah.
So we did that, and then we took the flight home, boarded up.
Got another round of tomato juice.
Heck
like a
yeah. Oh
lady.
yeah. Got the tomato juice. Did an in-flight movie. Each of us
Yes.
did an in-flight movie.
I watched Lisa
free?
Frankenstein. 10 out of 10, honestly. So
and
I recommend it.
I went to like my go-to, which is Kill Bill. Oh my gosh, are you okay?
Yeah. Did I? Okay, sorry. I just smacked my face against the microphone. I kicked a brick outside the Case building. My pinky toe is pretty mangled right now. It's just been a good week.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, Lisa Frankenstein. I did Kill Bill Part 1, which now I need to watch Part 2.
Yeah.
And both of them were like the exact time of our flight, which was great.
It was so lovely. That
Yep.
flight back was perfect. It was just
great.
me and
It was
Lindy.
just us sitting in the seats. We didn't have to worry about another person. Yeah, it was great. And then we got back to Tulsa, and it was awful because the heat was terrible because of humidity.
Yeah.
I literally put, the humidity.
Because
on my
we kept hearing from everybody like, oh, it's a dry heat. Because we were really trying to prepare. We were like, okay, we're going to wear
gonna be hot,
dresses. We're going to wear
yeah.
skirts so we can make sure we have, ventilation. We're hydrated, yada, yada, yada. And we get there and like we walked a lot. We walked over 35,000 steps between the beginning of NACE to the end.
In the end.
And we walked all the way from our hotel to the baseball stadium and
Walked to the conference center every day.
yeah, every day. And we would hardly sweat that much.
hardly broke a sweat.
But we're sitting there at baggage claim in Tulsa.
just sweating inside.
Indoors.
Sweating.
Indoors. And it was just, it made us value that dry heat.
Yes.
Because we kept saying, if someone else says it's a dry heat one more time.
Yeah.
And we were
And
like,
now I miss the dry heat because
really-
they're right. It is a dry heat.
and it's a better heat. Oh
It
my
is.
gosh, it's so much better.
But
I will say I did miss Oklahoma water.
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I drank paper water for like the first half of the conference. They gave us a water bottle in our swag bag.
and it had paper in it, and Marissa was drinking it the whole time.
And I noticed it in the middle of UConn's session. I look into my bottle because I'm like, this water is bleh. And
She's like, I've been drinking paper
I've
the
been
whole
drinking
time.
paper water this whole time. Jeremy's face pumping.
That, and then you made me drink that garbage water.
Okay, I tried cactus water and it was delish. I
It
love
tasted
cactus
like
water.
It literally tasted like a dumpster water smells.
That's
That's what it tasted like. It was gross. It's not good.
I liked it.
It was not good. So that was that.
What else did we try that was different?
Well, the water there, it's from like a specific canal system because Phoenix is literally a desert. And so they have to get their water like from this like canal system. So that's why it's not good.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
even think about that.
Yeah, they talked about that in the indigenous one. So yeah, it just was not good
Yeah.
water.
I was so happy to get to come home and just
Yeah.
drink up all my rural water district 13 tap water
Yeah.
with the minerals and the floaties.
Yes,
It was good.
it's good to be home. It was a good little trip.
Yes. Made
we'll-
good connections.
Yes,
Got some
and
really good information. Despite the
hopefully-
decorum of others in the room.
Yes, and hopefully we can, continue going. We'll see what that's going to look like in the future, but it was great.
Yeah. We're trying to
the
do
most
all we
part.
can to find the good info to bring back to you guys.
Yes.
Because that's the whole point of us going on these trips.
Absolutely.
Is to try to make those connections, learn what the industry is leaning towards, what it's not leaning towards.
And the cool thing about NACE that is different from SOACE is there were lots of employers that were just attending the conference,
Yeah.
not there to sell products necessarily, just to learn
Yeah.
more. And so getting to because our friend Nathan, he was an employer from Ohio. And so he it
But
was
the
just
cool Ohio.
Yes. And so they were just it was cool to kind of intermingle and do all of that. So yeah, we shall see what the future brings. There were some really, really valuable insights with these sessions.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we kept saying.
Oh, lastly, I forgot to tell everybody because we were talking about the celebrities we would see at the conference.
Oh,
The president of NACE.
the president of NACE was there. Yeah.
He looks like Stanley Tucci. To a T.
Yeah. Bald head, glasses.
Very spiffy dress.
Yes.
Like all the time.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
It was cool. So yeah, we loved NACE, and it was nice meeting everyone there.
Got some NACE in
and
our face. That's
Yes.
what the cool host
We
said.
had a NACE day.
Yeah.
Yeah. NACE is the place.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good. And yeah, that's it. That was our whole freaking trip. So
We just wanted to share with you guys the stuff that we're doing, the stuff that.
yeah, we're
coming down
rocking
the-
and rolling and whatnot. So
And you wrote Rogu resume.
yeah. Yeah. A little shout out to American Dad there. So yeah, anyway, well, thank you guys for listening to us ramble and rant and go on and on about our awesome trip.
Yeah,
So
we hope if this is going out during the summertime that you guys are having a good, safe summer.
Yeah.
We're here all summer, so if you need us, holler.
yeah,
please.
we'll be here.
We'll be here.
Please.
Waiting.
Please. Yeah.
Come say hi. Send us your resume, whatever it may be. So,
Okay.
all right.
All right.
Anything else? All right.
All right.
Bye.
Goodbye.
I'm starting to think all that restaurant experience on your application was a lie.
You wrote Roku resume.
Well, why you do it then, baby Billy? Well, 'cause I'm selfless.